I'll just remind everybody, are we good? Okay. I'll just remind everybody that the town will be video and audio taping this broadcast, and if anybody in the audience would like to video, please let the chair know now. Hearing none. We're going to go to the minutes and approve the minutes, and I'd like to do it individually because we have changes on each one. So for the November 5, let me talk about the change, and then I'll ask for a motion. Anne wanted to add in the discussion about where I gave the update to the Charter Commission, the discussion about the size of the committee. The notes only picked up what Paul had said, and she wanted to add what she had said related to that. So she would like to add, Ann Tucker commented with the proposed reduction in the number of board members that would create a quorum of 3 people to review the request. Given the size of future capital projects already on the 5-year plan, it seems unwise to reduce the number of members as the complexity of the project is increasing and input and oversight from various perspectives will become more important. Ms. Tucker expressed her opinion in favor of keeping the COC as it is now. Ms. Tucker also commented that as a representative from planning provides specific insight as planning decisions usually impact the town 3 to 5 years in the future, which corresponds to the growth initiatives in the capital outlay budget cycle. So what I would like to do is if somebody would make a motion to accept the minutes with that change. Nobody wants to make.
I make a motion.
And would somebody like to second it?
I'll second it. I don't understand why we need to get into that, but.
Well, I think because we got one side of it and we didn't get the other side of it, and so she just wanted the record to reflect both sides of it.
But the other side, is the other side in there?
Yeah, your side is in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so can I get,
Second.
okay, and can we get an approval? Scott?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Martha, aye. 5-0. I should say, I didn't introduce who's here today. I should do that first, sorry. So online is Scott Norum and Michelle Gallucci, Rich Larios, Paul Doan, Martha Donovan, Tony Schiavi, and we'll have you guys introduce yourself after. For the second set of meetings on November 12th, Scott just wanted to clarify what the Finance Committee, what he was going to ask the Finance Committee to do as it related to wastewater management. So instead of saying Mr. Norum commented on the Finance Committee's intent to have a liaison to the Wastewater Implementation Committee once reinstated, he prefers that we say Mr. Norum reported that the upcoming Finance Committee's agenda includes a discussion of reinstating the Wastewater Implementation Committee and having a Finance Committee liaison to that committee. So with that change, can I get a motion? Second? Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Let's take a vote. Scott?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And Martha's an aye, so that's 5-0. So now we've finished off the meeting notes. That's great. I would just note that on the capital outlay plan, the draft that you have, Tony went back based on our discussions about the 2 construction projects in the harbor. We had the engineering on the plan, and we asked about, well, would the construction take place in this 5 years? And the answer was yes. So he's put estimates in for the construction in this new version. So just want to make sure everybody saw that. Okay.
Through the chair, if I can just mention
Yes.
one other thing, I did confer with Stephanie Ridenour from DNR, and through our discussion, we moved that 90,000 from FY '27 to '28. That's really where it should have been, and the rationale for why it needed to be there was very sound. So
Okay.
that's been moved.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we're welcoming the DPW here today, so maybe you guys can introduce yourselves and we can have a nice, healthy discussion about all the DPW requests.
Looking forward to it. Lynn Cooper, DPW Director. I'm here with Kyle Edson, Vehicle Maintenance Manager, and Sean Libby, Facilities Manager. Brian Albee, our Road Manager, is off this week. He would be here as well. I'll cover the road section in his absence.
Okay. Where would you like to start? You want to do
As
the
they say,
roads?
rank as privileges. Why don't we start with roads? We, for the last probably 4 or 5 years, has essentially scrapped our road maintenance program. The reason we had to do that is no one had anticipated the need to incorporate drainage with the sewering of the town. So the first few phases of the sewer project had no money associated to put drainage in the ground. Say, well, why is that important? A lot of the sewer money is tied up in pavement. The last thing you want to do is pave a road and then have to come dig the new road up to replace a failing basin. So we developed some criteria that we applied to the projects, and we've been putting a little over $1 million, $1.2 million in the ground for the last couple of years. The next sewer phase, 3A, has $1 million allocated for that very purpose.
Within that 35 million?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that we now can focus back on our road maintenance program. I've been very proud of the conditions of the roads in town. Up until very recently, I would never, almost never, get any complaints about our roads, other than, a pothole here or there. Our first road that we plan to hit next fiscal year, FY27, is Great Western Road, starting on this Main Street extension. That project is really from Sisson to the Dennistown line, and is $2 million. Our capital request is for $700,000. We receive about $700,000 a year in Chapter 90 money from the Commonwealth. We have a little bit of Chapter 90 money left over, and we can do this project within the 700. I'm saying long-term, we've had the $700,000 cash flows successfully from the town since I've been director, or nearly that time, say for at least the last 20 years, with 1 year where we did not. And that's worked pretty well. The price of things has escalated so much that you can see one main road project is taking up multiple years of cash flows. So I think some consideration, although we've not applied for it in the capital plan, some discussion going forward may be to up the local contribution to our road maintenance program.
Okay, can I start you right there? I just want to go back to the drainage. One question, is the drainage for Phase 3 covered?
I'm not going to speak in an absolute. There is $1 million allocated in that, and it should be.
Not 3A, but 3.
3, yes.
Okay,
The
so
one
there's
we're
also
working
$1
on-
million in 3.
The one that's currently under construction,
Right.
yes. We get bills from our drainage contractor. It happens to be Robert B. Hour, who's doing the sewering. So that's worked out pretty well in the town's favor, in my opinion. Yes, that is covered. We're
Okay.
here focusing next year for
Right.
FY27 to resurrect our 5-year road maintenance program from just being drainage, to get back on paving some roads.
Okay, and what is your balance in that road repair bucket? Where so you get the town puts 700,000 into that. The state typically adds,
Well, I can't give you an amount. Normally, we're 680,000 in Chapter 90. The last few years, the governor has upped the Chapter 90 in some form or another. They'll call it fair share, winter recovery. They've called it different things. And even this year, we got an extra $400,000 for that for a purpose.
so
Generally, you can count on.
you're getting
about
those
7.
two amounts every year. You're spending something, originally it was drainage, and we get to the point where we're starting to go back to road construction,
Which would include drainage.
which would include drainage, right? But what would that balance in that account, is there a balance in that account, in your road repair account today, before we put the next $700,000 in?
Are you asking what I have left in this year's capital article?
In all years' capital articles, sorry.
I think what she's trying to get at, Link, so sometimes you may accumulate Chapter 90 because you're focused, you have a bigger project coming. So I think she,
An unencumbered Chapter 90 balance.
and maybe any money you have left in your capital road article.
The Capital Road article, I do not believe we have touched as of yet, but is fully allocated towards the drainage of Phase 3 that you just asked about.
And that's 700,000 or,
They're most likely.
okay.
And we have an unencumbered Chapter 90 balance, I believe, of about 1.2 million. So but we've been paying for some other projects out of that fund. One visible one is the intersection project, Chatham Road and Route 39, which we anticipate being $350,000 for construction, or somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So we have enough, if we get the cash flow for $700,000 for FY '27, we should have enough to do this plan that's in front of you and take care of Great Western Road, along with other ancillary stuff you do all the time.
Right.
Painting, crack sealing, those types of activities.
Okay, so first I just want to say, this is the first time, just so you know, Tony, that we've seen the backup in this detail. So this was really helpful. I think that is good information.
Rest
So-
assured, it's always been submitted.
I know where that was going, but I just want to say thank you.
share everything.
Thank you for letting us see it, because I don't think we've ever seen it in this detail before. Okay, so even though the number is 2.4 million for next year that you think you're going to spend doing the projects that you listed, with the 700,000, you have enough to do that, plus some other things that
We
that may
should.
come up.
We
Okay, okay,
Question, yeah.
yes.
Tell me, Section 3 or Division 3 or whatever, we're talking about the area in East Harwich? Route 39 that's been
Yes, sir, it's
disrupted?
currently under construction.
Yeah.
And as they go, they are installing drainage in which the DPW is billed, not the sewer project.
So but that road, Pleasant Bay Road, 39, will
Yep.
be both drainage and sewage will be installed.
That is correct.
And then this money is going to be to resurface those streets?
No, nothing to do with resurfacing those projects, the sewer
Plus,
projects.
there's many side streets that also get drainage and,
But, the roadway in there, Pleasant Bay Road or Bay Road, whatever it is there, that's going to be resurfaced at some point, or are you satisfied with the status of that? Is that on one of your?
It is all going to be resurfaced as part of the sewer project,
Okay.
the larger project. So generally, you put a temporary patch down,
Yeah.
which is riding not that favorably. You let that settle, and then you come back 6 months after or sometime thereafter, accounting for the settlement, and then resurface it.
Okay, so but the funds we're talking about here,
Nothing, that has nothing to do with these funds.
I just want to note Ann Tucker joined us at 11:15. Welcome, Ann. Okay, Rich, did you have a question?
Yeah, where's Ann? No. You're talking Pleasant Bay between 137 and 39.
Mr. Doan was talking about that.
But that'll have the finished product over time.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
that's incorporated into the
Into the
sewer
sewer
project.
project.
I
the
live off
final.
that, so that's-
Yeah, I live on 39, I'm waiting for it too, but that's built in, and that money's in the construction contracts for the sewer. So yeah, you'll get a full, nice road when they're all done.
but when Link says 6 months later,
It's not.
I mean, it's got the temporary surface on there now, is that correct?
Yes.
So one should assume that within 6 months,
I believe this, I am on the monthly sewer meeting. It's not my project, it's not the DPW's project. However, there's a lot of interaction. I believe the current plan is to resurface 39 when the plants open in April.
okay, well then can you just describe what are the surface plans that you have in mind with this money that will now become available?
He's going to go through them one by one.
I'm
What his question is, like, you have obviously a road road pavement plan,
Yeah.
right? So you mentioned
Well,
Great
Great
Western.
Western's the
He's
the
asking, what
major-
are some of the other roads that are in the next,
South Forest, Maine, right there, those roads right there, probably well, let's not estimate. 1, 2, 4, that's $5 million.
How about this one, this part of it right out here?
So Harwich Center is under a contract right now with the EDR to survey, as part of the sidewalk project we were doing with the library, has been expanded to include all of Harwich Center and look at it in a holistic way. What we think that'll lead to is probably applying for a TIP project, Transportation Improvement Project, with Mass DOT through the Cape Cod Commission to fund whatever might come out of that. But that is in process and not part of any of these funds.
So in addition to what the town does, there's also state funding that you may get
funding.
for other projects.
Yes, which is funding the Safe Routes to School Sidewalk Project, a $3.3 million project, of which we are securing the right-of-way, another use Chapter 90 money. So I put a $200,000 Chapter 90 project together to pay for the appraisals and to pay for the awards that the abutters to that project will receive.
So with those sort of understandings, what is the estimate of the date, maybe, when that work could be done after all this preparation and so forth here in the center?
I have no estimate of when that might be done or funded. It has always come down to funding. There's been many Harwich Center initiatives throughout the years that have led to a lot of great ideas that have never gone anywhere because of money.
On the state side?
No, ma'am,
Oh,
on the
here.
town side.
Okay, okay.
It's never gone anywhere. We're spending this money, the town's committed to spending, I think that, don't quote me, this was an administration contract, and I don't remember the number, I think it was around 100,000, something in that, to do the survey, come up with some ideas. At our kickoff meeting, yet to happen, we're going to have Cape Cod Commission staff there and DOT staff with the understanding that we want to, everything we're doing is to further a larger project, a larger TIP project, where hopefully we can get some traction and have the state pay for it rather than the taxpayers of Harwich.
Tony?
Yeah, so I think this goes into, a broader discussion that I've had with the staff, right? And I always put it out there is, whenever we're thinking about doing a project, one of the first things I ask them to ask themselves is who else can pay for this, right? I think sometimes we just get into a mindset that, we're just going to go to this and we're either going to do it with free cash or we're going to do a borrowing or whatever, but there are other, vital sources of funding out there.
Michelle, can you mute, please? Thank you.
There's some other vital sources of funding out there, so as Link and his team look at these different projects, they understand the type of projects that would qualify for potential TIP funding, and we try to package those together and say, okay, we know we want to do this project. Now, it may be a year or two down the road, but we line everything up with a mind towards putting in for, I'll say a high-scoring TIP project and get funding from that standpoint. And this similarly goes as we think about accumulating Chapter 90 money in addition to our local contribution. As he said, some of the additional money, we used to call pothole money.
Winter recovery money.
Those we never guarantee necessarily that we're going to get year after year, but the Chapter 90 is built on road miles, right? They figure how many road miles you have in town. It's a pretty simple formula, so that's consistently in the, 680 range that we typically we can count for. We get 300,000 or 400,000 extra, but that's sort of extra, and we can apply that to various, needs as kind of a bonus, if you will.
But to Paul's point about when, using the Route 28 water pipe change, they thought that was going to happen a year or two ago, and then the state slowed it down, and, they were trying to take advantage of, if they had the road dug up, they could do the work. It doesn't always work out to the timing that you would like. You don't want to say anything about that? Did I say something incorrect? Correct me if I said something wrong.
If we're talking about the West Harwich TIP project, so from the Dennistown line to the Herring River Bridge, where the town intends to install sewer and water, there. That project has been bid. Mass DOT did an addendum at the town's request. The town was late getting engineering to the consultant
Okay.
on this.
Okay.
So,
Those bids are open.
But the delays happen, is I guess my point. So if you could say,
it wasn't Mass DOT that was delayed in this
Okay,
in
okay.
this instance.
so you could say, well, we'd like to do the center of town in 2 years, but the fact is that it could be delayed for a number of reasons.
There's no guarantees we could get traction on the tip. You
Okay.
know, unfortunately, I've had pretty good success. I've sat on that committee for 25 years. So we, you know, the Transportation Committee votes it, and then usually the MPO ratifies it without a lot of changes. We have to wait in line, like Tony suggested, and it's usually about a 5-year wait to get online. I just can't envision, you know, Harwich Center is probably going to be a $3 to $5 million problem. I can't imagine with sewer going on, the town's going to fund that themselves. So the option you have is get the plan together and wait for some funding opportunities.
Yeah, and here's where that can be beneficial as it relates to tip price. And I've used this on a big project in a prior community. So one is you get legislative support behind your tip project, so you can use that. But on the other hand, is having everything packaged up, ready to go. Projects they'll be in approved a slot for a particular year for tip, and they get slipped for some reason. And all of a sudden, they say, oh, gee, we have $4 million available because Town X, who was going to do a project, slipped to the right. Anybody got a project? Oh, yeah, we got a project ready. And so we were able to slide into a major road reconstruction pro. It's huge. Because all of a sudden funding, and we had everything lined up, ready to go, with all of our stuff together. So we're trying to be a little more strategic about some of these things.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
And links right with potential sewer coming in, you know, do we want to even think about spending town funds only to dig it back up again?
Right.
At some point. So
So go-
timing is critical.
Okay. So going back to your list of streets that you want to pave over the next 5 years, how do you determine which streets you're going to pave? What's the process there?
I think much of the town's success for our road maintenance, most towns hire consultants, spend 50 to 100 grand a year to have you tell you roads to answer your question.
Okay.
We have had pretty good success with Chris Nickerson, who was our former road manager and retired a couple years ago, with his institutional knowledge. He was a certified pavement inspector. He went and took a bunch of classes, and we relied on his knowledge and support of committees like this and the Board of Selectmen to keep consistent cash flows going, and we made a huge difference. You know, it was unfortunate that nobody had the foresight to say, in conjunction with the sewer, we should be refreshing drainage, but now that's been addressed, and we're back on track. So the answer is to that, those roads were in the program prior to setting aside and having to go put it in the ground where nobody sees it.
Okay.
You know, DPW directors are judged in part on the condition of the roads. It did not bring me joy to have to be putting $1 million, $1.5 million in the ground each year in conjunction with sewer, but it was the right thing to do for the town.
Right. So with Chris having retired, do you have
I have
another
Brian Albee,
resource?
who I had hoped to be here
Okay.
today, but he is on vacation and
He would be the source
was
of-
not available. So
Okay,
yes, he assesses those.
May I just ask one
Yeah,
follow-up
yes,
question
yes.
to yours on the same sort of topic? In the thought process for that sort of prioritizing of surfacing, does one entity ever enter the thought process about the attractiveness and to the town and for the amount of people that are traveling through that area in terms of the part of the town, in terms of making it as attractive as we possibly can, such as Harwich Center in my mind, where the majority of people entering the town, the impression they get of the town is formed right there as they come to the stop in 124 and turn right or left. And is there ever an effort made to sort of think, that's an area that really should we should make an effort to ensure that those access points into the town, that people first get the impression of the town, are as pristine as we can make them. And as long as I've kind of struggled up there in Harwich Center with certain things, there's still, I mean, I almost am motivated to get up and go weed the grass in front of some of the stores up there. The sidewalks, the pavements. There's a concern in my mind, my narrow thinking here, but certainly that entity, that consideration should be part of a process to select how we're going to spend money for road surfacing and attractive beauty, or whatever you want to call it. I'm concerned that it doesn't set a good impression for the town, as opposed to when you went to other communities adjacent to us, and where you get a different impression by the fact that the surface of the roads or whatever is more neatly maintained. I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to be critical. I think you do a great job. But I just have I've always worried that we have things that are so obvious there that don't get attended to, and I don't know whether they should be more a responsibility of the individual homeowners or property owners there, but some of it certainly relates to town ownership or control, and I don't know,
Do you want to respond, Link, or no
Yes, ma'am.
response? Yes, please do.
That very issue is why we even have the West Harwich Tip Project as a thing. I thought the town of Dennis really gave Dennisport a facelift.
Correct.
That stopped short of the intersection, which makes all the queuing. Makes it almost unpalatable to drive through there in the summertime when you have to wait through 5 lights for lights that were designed 50, 60 years ago. So that very issue, I said, Dennis looks good, Harwich looks not. So I applied for a tip project for that. Part of that tip project is going to be, we got brick sidewalks going, it's going to emulate what's been done in Dennis. Brick sidewalks, period lighting throughout the project. Sidewalks on both sides of the road. If you're getting into like weeds on a sidewalk somewhere, that comes down to labor. That comes down to we just don't have the labor, pick your poison. I am sensitive to aesthetics in the town, and I certainly appreciate that, and we do try. And, you know, my efforts are, you have this tip project, that it should be starting construction in the spring to address an eyesore that you speak of.
I agree, the West Harwich, but Harwich Center is another area, I think, that I just would hope at some point.
Well, I think
Could
there's
be raised.
limited resources, right? And Link is trying to financially get the state to pay what he can get them to pay.
West Harwich Tip Project, hang on, $28 million right now is their current estimate. $28 million.
So if we have to,
Not even a
if we have
mile.
to pick our, you know, the worst of the worst here, we have to pay for sewer, right? We don't have $28 million.
Yeah, and some of the paving projects, address safety issues, and, those always go to the top of the list. I think some of the stuff that, Paul mentioned, I would, argue it is a labor thing, but if you have a storefront right there.
Yeah, in New York, they make the store
we
owners,
see
they
signs
have
on the
to define
highway,
them.
right? I mean, we have companies that sign up to pick up litter in stretches of the highway and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I go out and clear the drain if I see leaves in the drain in my
Much
neighborhood.
appreciated. If we have weather, impending weather, that's what we do. Forces go
Right,
out
right.
and drive around problem spots. We try to get all the leaves off the covers.
Okay, so we're doing Great Western Road in FY '27. We're doing South Street and Forest Street in FY '28. We're doing Main Street in FY '29. And then Lakewood Drive, Buttonwood Road, Cedardale Road in fiscal year '30. And Cottonwood Road, Aspen Road, Old Pine Drive, Braddock Street and Lothrop Ave in FY '31. And all of the backup, the costs are all in the document. So does anybody have any more questions? And we'll
Yes.
move this along.
Yes?
Yes, Scott?
Please. So I'm not sure I understand the way the numbers in that chart with the 5 years' worth of road maintenance, which totals up $8.9 million. All we see in the capital schedules is the $700,000 town contribution, which would be $3.5 million over 5 years. So that leaves $6.4 million that we think we're getting from prior balances plus Chapter 90. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The remainder of the 8.9 is coming from the state and prior balances?
8.9. The whole plan is 8.9.
No, the remainder of the 8.9, after the
Yes,
3.5
yes,
that comes in that 700. Okay.
That is correct.
So I just think it would, okay, I think it would be, wouldn't it be better to have the whole 8.9 in the capital plan and then have that outside money, the state money, reflected as a source?
That's a Tony question.
That's not a me question.
I mean, it could.
Yeah, no.
I think, again,
mean, it's-
I try to figure out when we look at spreadsheets about how to make it make sense particularly for town meeting, right? I mean, because I can only fit so many columns, so I have other source of funds, which, again, would be a category for
And
state funding.
Chapter 70 was in, for a long time, in the capital plan, and then last year, there was a legal recommendation to take it out, as I understand it. You can check me on that.
Okay.
Because it wasn't something that the taxpayers could really vote on, right? So it came out. Now, whether that was the right move or not, I don't know, but that was the explanation we got.
Yeah, I think, yeah, to me, I don't see it as a voting issue. It's more about the town having visibility about the fact that we're paying attention to our infrastructure and capital needs over the course of a 5-year look. So I'm less concerned about that. I don't think it's a legal issue. I mean, because when we do the town meeting, we have a warrant article that says we're paying for this out of free cash. We have warrant articles that say we're doing a general borrowing or excluded debt or whatever else. Because we do track CPC funds. Now, they do vote on that, but, you know, there's some other potential sources of funds that I'm looking at that, you know, may not necessarily require a vote, but it's a source of funding to fund some of the projects on here as a way to, you know, make sure we can get as much done as we can. So I'm flexible in that regard. It's just to make sure that it's not confusing to anyone when we do get to town meeting, when they see those numbers, go, where's all that money coming from? And you get into sort of the protracted discussion on things that they aren't actually voting on, but are part of the plan. So, you know, let me take a look at it, and I can talk to Link and see, because we have another one that is probably going to get added, and this was, again, a little bit of confusion with the staff, because there was a project that was being looked at by Harbor, DNR, and Conservation, where they were going for 100% funding through a grant. And they didn't understand that it really probably should have been on the plan. And again, we have a funding, you know, source down the line that is, you know, but they didn't get the full grant. So now it's like,
Right.
okay, now we need to try to perhaps, so I'm probably going to add that in, because I think we need visibility on the whole picture. And then we just got to make sure we educate folks about, okay, here's the pieces that the town is. I mean, look at sewer, right? I mean, we got to start putting that stuff on, right? So we have,
Right,
so
we'll
everybody
have
has
that
visibility.
discussion
what's-
later, but yeah.
Yeah. so-
Yeah, and I guess, you know, if you don't get the money, like, let's say you didn't get Chapter 90 money for some reason, or you got much less than you thought, then this whole plan shifts, right? You kind of have to manage it up to the amount of money that you think you're going to have, unless it's so important that you come back and ask for more capital. But to Scott's point, I understand Scott's point, if we think we're going to spend it, should it be, you know?
So here's the confusion, right? So let's say Link says, hey, in FY '27, between local contribution and, say, Chapter 90, we're going to do the $2 million project. So in FY '27, right, in his row, I'm going to put $2 million. But then somebody's going to look at the funding page, because it's only for 1 year, and they're going to see 700,000. And they're going to go, Wait a minute, you said you're gonna spend 2 million, and we
Right,
can
right.
get wrapped around the axle. You know, in terms of that, so that's the only.
But you'd put the rest of it in the other funding column, wouldn't you?
Not for
You have a
27?
column for that.
Yeah, right, I guess, well, yeah, right, I guess that's the point. So how do we footnote that to make it clear?
Yeah, and I mean, just thinking about it, I'll just, maybe this doesn't apply, but if you thought about it on a budget, right, where you have reserves or other funds, you're just putting on the budget what you need to bring maybe those reserves up to what you're going to actually spend. You're not putting what you know, so it's the same on the budget for expenses as it would be on the capital plan. It's kind of getting managed below the line, if you will.
Right. All right, so let me talk to him, and we'll see. When we come back not next week, but the week after, we can take a look and see what we decided.
Michelle?
Is that okay, Scott?
They gave a thumbs up.
Michelle, did you have a question?
I did have a question. Just curious about the Great Sand Lakes project, it's 3A. So the paving and road work that relates to that, will that show up elsewhere?
That's in the construction, that's in the 35 million.
So when,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
when they put together a sewer project now, they're putting together, all the road work was always in there, the drainage was not, now it's included going forward.
That is all correct. Specifically, it was left off by the consultant because the drainage work is not reimbursable by the SRF fund. So it was kind of, it's the right thing to do for the town and the taxpayers of the town, but as far as if you're looking at it as just that project, it maybe was perceived as convoluting it in some degree. And that's why it wasn't included. So it's tracked separately, but it's in the project.
Okay. All right, so now, I didn't think roads were going to take that long, but
Nor did I, ma'am.
we're done with roads. So do we want to move on to, what do we have here? You want to move on to Kyle's work there? We'll leave Sean for last. So I would just make one note, for 2027, all the items in 2027, the numbers that are on Tony's capital plan and your summary are different. Oh, your summary is different than the numbers on the individual sheets. There's some differences by $5,000 to $10,000 between the numbers. So if we could clear that up and know.
I know last minute we had some estimates that we provided, right?
We did. Last minute estimates that,
Is that you? No, it's fire.
No.
Right here.
So when I look at, the vehicle replacement plan, in
yes,
2027, the pickup, for example, let me just see if I can pick one. The dump truck, you have as, where am
I have it down as 135, and it was,
I? It's on Tony's
25,
schedule, it's 120. So
Right.
what is the right number, if we could get the right numbers?
the right number would be on our plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we did some last minute estimates, and we saw there was gonna be
Sharpen
increasing
the
costs.
pencil.
So they just didn't come up to Tony's schedule at the right number, so we need to just adjust those, Tony.
No, the number in the plan, right, is what? 125 or 135?
125.
125.
It should be 125?
On the-
Yes.
On the improvement plan, yes. On my plan, it's 135.
That's what she's talking about.
Yeah, and what is you're saying 135 is the right
Yes.
number, not one,
Okay.
yeah. So so from if you look at your schedule, Tony, that 125 for the first one goes to 130.
Oh, 130, okay.
Or 135?
135.
No, the first one is the dump truck. I'm going, right?
That's the,
There's
Two,
130, okay, I see it, yep.
The next 125 goes to 130.
correct?
The 205 goes down to 200.
okay.
The 220 goes to 200. And the 125 goes to 135.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All
So
right.
we'll just adjust those.
Done.
Thank you.
A lot of pieces of paper flying.
Sorry. Yeah, I reconciled them all.
All right,
That's
thank you. Were
what I
those the only
do.
ones in the plan? Those are the only ones?
Nice job, Kyle.
There is there is another one, actually. in FY '30, that adds up to,
1, 4, 4, 5.
it's 45,000 more, I think. Let me just get to 230. 425, 45. The numbers are right, but you have a total that you bring forward that was 790, is that right? Did that add correctly?
It's 745 on our spreadsheet.
Is that the right number? It's 745? Oh, Tony's number is, so 700 plus, okay, all right, I guess that's right. Sorry, maybe that was me. Sorry. That one's okay.
All right.
Sorry. There's a lot of numbers I was trying to reconcile. Okay, so Kyle, you want to walk through what you're replacing here?
Sure. We're replacing one construction and demolition trailer. Current trailer is, well, it's gonna be 10 years old by the time we get it. And 2 one-ton trucks, plow trucks, that mainly sanders, plows. We also work in the cemetery and do other duties around town. That's Unit 21 and 14. Unit 32 is a tractor for hauling construction and demolition and trash to upkeep facilities. And then our Unit 5 is a disposal truck that we mainly do trash pickups in the summer around town, pick up the trash, and also it has a container on it too we use for certain jobs around town.
Okay, so when I looked at this, the cemetery truck, I do not believe was on there this year, or last year. So that's a new replacement from last year, is that correct?
No, should have been there. I don't have last year's.
I don't have last year's with me either.
Okay.
No, 14 and 21, they're both the same year, approximately the same mileage, and we replaced both of them.
So I was kind of surprised that the cemetery needed 2 dump trucks.
Well,
Help me understand, maybe I don't know what goes on.
It isn't mainly used for cemetery. I mean, it's used throughout the town, throughout the DPW. I mean, it's used for plowing, used for sanding, and used for any mowing jobs around town, not just the cemetery. So it's not a dedicated cemetery truck.
So is one dedicated and one is not, or
No,
neither one of them is
all our trucks
dedicated?
will do different jobs throughout the town.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may, we've had this discussion over the last year or so. We're actually looking at renaming all our vehicles as DPW.
Yeah, I was, because they have 2 trailers too, and I'm like, why do they need all this equipment? Maybe I just don't understand all the work they do.
They have 100 acres of cemetery, and I'd like to point out that we only have 2 dedicated staff members, 2 full-time staff members. That's what was there when I was hired by the town in 1991, when we had 1/3 of the cemetery acres. Other departments have to augment this department on a regular basis, particularly once you get into the grass growing season and in front of Memorial Day, where we send all hands on deck to all the cemeteries.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
On the dump trucks, that value of 125 or 130, whatever, that's logistically what you're going to pay for a new one?
Yes.
So your F-150s are close to 100.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
close.
talking 25,000
80.
more for a dump truck?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
No, that's a very minimal, I mean, I would think
Yeah.
I think we're underestimating, and I don't know where you get your, no,
No, we're not. I think we're right on with that number for the dump truck.
that's with a trade-in.
That's with all trades, yes. Yeah.
I think it's kind of low. But
Yeah,
If I may,
everything's
it's-
on state bid.
you look at a
Not a
Ford
state-
Raptor, you're talking 150, 165 for a basically
It's a fancy truck.
Yeah.
a 150 with a lot of crap on it.
Yeah, I think man, you might have missed what you just said. So these are off of a state bid list, so that's a little different than if we're going down to Chatham Ford.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, so
Just-
they get good numbers for these from the state bid, because those are hard, basically hard numbers. They bid those numbers, those prices. You know, a couple years down the road, we factor in a little bit of inflation, but at least for the current year, should be good numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, should be.
Rich, if I may, Kyle worked 30 years, Chatham Ford? Worked for 30 years at Chatham Ford. So there's nobody around that knows Fords better than this man.
So I'm
Why we
assuming-
recruited him, as a matter of fact.
I'm assuming Ford is the product line for,
Mostly for our small equipment is Fords.
So I figured out in 2030 it was bugging me, what the difference was. On this sheet, it says the combination is 700,000, but what's listed and what it adds up to is 745. So we might want to just change the sheet for 2030 to say 745.
2030 sheet. I don't have my-
I knew there was something there, sorry. Just get all the numbers right.
But are the numbers on the plan correct?
The numbers on the plan are correct.
Okay,
They
all
didn't
right.
tie to one of the documents in the support, that's all.
so facilities maintenance uses DPW's trucks.
Correct. My truck out there says DPW on the door.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're part of DPW.
I
It's not a
understand.
separate-
So you don't have assets in terms of DPW trucks. You use his trucks or the over the
If I
umbrella.
may, we are one department with 7 divisions within that department. We have had a practice of labeling the vehicles and allocating to those various
Nobody's getting
divisions.
short-handed, that's my thing.
No, sir.
Okay.
But this is, I think this represents what we need and what we plan for. Correct. Yes.
I have a question in 2031 on your replacement vehicle list plan. There's one vehicle that's not registered. It's for the park. It's a,
Sits in back of the police station. Don't tell me.
Oh, that's a skid steer loader.
is that just something you don't have to register? Or?
We usually trailer it from job to job.
Oh, okay,
It's with
okay.
tracks on it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
Okay.
legal to drive that one on the road.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I just thought that was interesting that it wasn't registered. Sorry. So I don't know that we need to go through, unless somebody wants to, every year, every item.
No.
No.
Anybody have any questions in general about replacement of vehicles? I mean, this is, I think, pretty standard. It's a kind of a rotating thing. You're deciding when they need to come up and be replaced. Comments?
Well, historically, this department is well-versed in what they need, how they need it, how they're going to use it, and what to expect, and the positive feedback that we get during their operations. So I think they do a wonderful job putting this stuff together on changing requirements by this committee.
We change requirements?
Well, over the 20 years that I've been with him, I can
I
tell you.
didn't do anything.
It has changed, but no, they respond very well, and to a growing group.
Right, right. It looks like it's between 800, somewhere between $700 and $800 a year that you're consistently replacing vehicles.
Yes.
You know,
1,000, sorry.
Yeah.
See, that's
Usually
the
used to
problem.
billions. You're lucky I didn't say billion.
If I may, the rolling stock at the DPW, on the second page of that, we got 9.4 million, which is an estimate of total value. I think Kyle does a wonderful job, Kyle and his team do a wonderful job at squeezing every bit of utility out of these vehicles that is possible. I say that because I see them putting bodies, saving bodies and putting it on new trucks and so forth, resurrecting older stuff, equipment. And when the man tells me this is what we need for this year, it's what we need, because every bit of utility has been wringed out of these vehicles. We were questioned, was this a year ago? Yeah, a year ago, about why we needed some vehicle, and we showed what the rust was to the Board of Selectmen, and there were no further questions after that.
right.
So when the man says we need these,
I will say, Kyle, you have a great reputation in town, and everybody sings your praises, so we have no doubt that you're doing what you need to do, and you're doing a good job.
One question, Madam Chair, and
Well, Rich is first, so he had his hand up first. So you two stop. I have to, it's like
I'm
kids.
younger than you. What percentage, are you still working on other department vehicles?
yes.
Okay. How much of your time would you say you allocate in 100% of the week? Is it
For each department,
not per each, but other departments as a whole?
it can vary. It can vary on breakdowns. There's just so many variables with it. I can't say we spend this much. for
Okay, so
fire department or this
your department, the police department, and the fire department have lists of motor vehicles. Other departments don't, but yet you work on them.
We work on, Kyle takes care of every vehicle within the town, Harwich. These ones that...
And I guess my question is, what can we anticipate from other departments who don't list the lifespan of their vehicles because you guys work on them and they don't have to show them as an asset per se?
Well, we have a
You
master.
want me to-
They do.
Let me address that.
Yeah,
they do.
other departments have vehicles on the list.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Replacement, yeah.
what...
On this-
On the master list that we got sort of at the beginning of the session, yeah,
Because remember, we did some for Harbor, we did one for
Okay.
DNR.
yeah.
But they do the maintenance.
He does the maintenance.
They do, yeah, we have
Although that-
fleet-wide maintenance under
Right.
DPW.
That may change a little with the green communities thing, right, where,
It is, and I'd like to say that part of Kyle's plan is he assists all the other departments with their plans. When we get fire and police vehicles that have utility left in them, Kyle goes and researches who might need them, what vehicles could, is this better than that is currently in service?
Okay.
And then that vehicle leaves as a trade somewhere.
That's my point.
So literally, every bit, I hate to keep repeating myself, but every bit of utility is taken out of these vehicles before they are traded away.
Paul, you want to ask a question?
related to my colleague's question there, you know, you think back, I see these things and say, we've got 80,000 miles on this vehicle, and so it's due for repair, for replacement. I'm curious, it seems like back in my early days of life, 50s, 60s, if a car went 60,000 miles, that was kind of it. Today, you read about vehicles 200, 300,000 miles. I'm kind of curious, have you seen any, has there been any change since in the years you've been the director or whatever, from the time period that's generally assumed to be the valuable life of a vehicle? Has it increased at all? It seems like it's not increasing.
No, well, we have a tractor on here that's got an excess of 500,000 miles.
That's
So it
good,
depends on the vehicle, what it's utilized. What Kyle faces is most of our vehicles are in salt in the wintertime. Although we wash them immediately after, he treats them. I think most of what he's up against is the degradation of the bodies and the frames due to the environment that your truck and my truck is not subject to.
Right.
And therefore, you don't see the miles on a lot of things. It's simply the condition. And it's not from lack of trying. I mean, they undercoat everything. They do everything they can to preserve the vehicles, and yet the environment that they're in, so you have nice, clean roads to drive on, takes its toll on the fleet.
So would my answer be that really things haven't changed? Things are still pretty much replaced with the same general usage that they've had in terms of mileage usage?
I wouldn't go down that road. Honestly, it is so dependent upon how the vehicle is utilized within the division, the conditions of the winters we have. So we might be getting a little longer because we haven't had very tough winters. But even though when I say we don't have a tough winter, we probably were out 15 times, 20 times, treating the roads, when we all say we only had one snowstorm, we only plowed once.
Well, just as a politically sellable approach, I'm looking at it, maybe you shouldn't put down, it's at 80,000 miles, so we need to replace it, because I, as just a passerby, think, well, wait a minute, 80,000
Well, I would prefer
miles.
that you do put it down, just because I think that helps inform us, you know.
But if it's
I
not
mean,
a
the town just needs
factor-
to know if there's a certain type of truck that only lasts 80,000 miles, that's what it is.
Yeah, so for most of our passenger vehicles that we drive, we're mile-driven.
Right.
For work trucks and vehicles, it's wear and tear driven.
Right, right.
And trucks aren't any tougher today or anything else, that, you know. and
Someone
that
might
kind of
argue they're
thing.
made less well
But
today.
we're not mileage-based, it's really the wear and tear
Yeah.
and the usage and you know, the environment that those vehicles operate in with
But,
so-
Tony, wouldn't you agree that to put down the mileage tends to make it seem like mileage is the issue, and it really isn't the issue? It's really the usage of the vehicle. And I think it's a little bit more defeating to the cause of replacement to sort of make it seem like we're doing it on a mileage, because
I just want to note, this is the first time that somebody has asked for less transparency.
Yeah. Well, like police, I'll give you an example for like police vehicles. Theirs are engine hour driven in
Right.
many respects. I mean, they do drive them hard at times, right? If
But they're
trying-
idling with them on, too, so.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's engine hour related. I don't want to get off track, but, you know, we attempted at one point to try to lease police vehicles, and what the manufacturer started doing in terms of how those leases were, is all based on engine hours. That's why you see modern vehicles. My truck out there, I can monitor the engine hours, idle hours and runtime and all of that, because they're finding that's more indicative of wear and tear in some respects. So, yeah, it is a question of transparency to some degree. I think, again, I look at it, you know, from the, it's an easy question to answer if somebody were to bring it up, so I don't know.
I'm not in favor of eliminating it. Can you just quickly tell us about the green communities and how that might impact your work going forward? Like, are you going to have less vehicles to repair because they can't be traded in, or they can't be exchanged
They
from one
can still be
department to the
traded
other?
in and exchanged.
Sorry, yeah.
Changed. How it's gonna affect our training, it's gonna affect the way we work on it, and it's gonna affect cost too,
And would there
but
be equipment that you would need?
Yes.
That would be different? And
Specialized
so,
equipment.
and would any of that be capital-related type of equipment?
It may be.
Maybe.
Over 50,000, yeah.
And so at some point, you may come to us and ask for money for that?
Possibly.
Okay.
It depends, you know, I deal with green communities all the time, just so you're aware. Green communities does not mean you're required to have electric or hybrid vehicles.
Correct.
That's what would require, the extra training and everything else. As long as we are increasing our mileage that we get out of each vehicle, we're meeting the green.
Yeah, I guess where I came across this is when Natural Resources said they have a car that is going to break down any day now, and they need a new vehicle. But it's in pretty bad shape. Maybe they exaggerated, Link, I don't know. But they said that, like, they couldn't get somebody else's vehicle, like, it couldn't be passed down to them. So, say a vehicle from the harbor couldn't go to them.
Well, it's police.
Oh, it's just
exempt.
police. Oh,
Where we
okay, all right, I
can't- Most of our
misunderstood that.
vehicles are exempt as well.
Okay.
They're moving the goalposts
Yeah.
constantly. And most of our heavy vehicles are exempt, but coming down the future, you're right, that, you know, they're going to start mandating that we do have some electric or some other vehicles, because you can't meet these guidelines otherwise. I was against, I have to go back a long time, I'm thinking 2012, 2010, and I wrote a dissertation essentially against the green communities because they didn't allow for trade-ins at the time. So we had a long-standing history of using police vehicles around town in the DPW, and I did an analysis that showed that Prius we were transporting across the lake to us had a larger carbon footprint, and that there was never a break-even standpoint from an environmental side to not utilize the older vehicle, right? Sean came in, and when he was hired, he's like, this is ridiculous, we should adopt green communities. I think we've had $1.5 million, I don't know, million?
Less than $1 million.
How much?
I don't know off the top of my head, maybe $750,000.
So significant funds, $750,000 for that. The vehicles is kind of,
Thank you.
you know, there's an edge to it,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I just think from a planning perspective, if it's going to impact costs down the road, we just need to start thinking about that, and if, in the next 5 years, incorporating it. That was my
Yeah,
point.
these are the, I'll call them unintended consequences,
Correct.
right? So
Correct.
with police vehicles, we took a hit when we did our annual audit, right? Because we hand-me-down a police vehicle that was exempt. But you're taking a vehicle that's no longer suitable for police stuff, it still has life in it, that could easily be used by another department, building or whatever, whatever you want. And we're now prevented from doing that. And so there's an impact to the taxpayer when that, so there are some things that green community forces us to do that, if you just look at it in a pure lens, don't make financial sense.
Right,
We did it
right.
anyways because we did, but that's getting harder
We
and
just need to
harder
keep
do.
up and
Sure.
make sure we incorporate it
Right.
in the future when we need to incorporate
Yep.
it. That was my only point. Okay, I'm going to wrap up vehicles. Any last questions? Okay, we're good. You're good. Thank you, Kyle. We appreciate it. Okay, let's go to Sean's good stuff.
You go.
Yes, of course.
I wasn't gonna let him out. Good job, Kyle.
Now, leave what you
Keep up the good work is what I would say. Thank you.
Buy a Ford.
You know, vehicle maintenance is becoming harder and harder. As the technology increases with these things, all of him and his staff go to continual training. It's, they've made it so the backyard mechanic can no longer touch your vehicle.
And the driver too, trying to understand the dashboard. Once you
Well,
possibly push a button and it starts, and it lights up like a theater. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, are we out of time?
You're not out of time. Do you know where the main water shutoff is? The men's urinal downstairs?
That doesn't
In the
sound
ladies'
good.
urinal.
No.
Sorry.
oh my
I
goodness.
think I kept it facing.
Now that's smart. Sorry, I gotta go fix the urinal.
Oh,
Forget the plumber.
All right, well, I have a question for Tony on it. Let's start there. The Alborough House, what is that used for, and what is the town thinking about that
Well, I've only been
property?
here for,
Well, maybe it's 100 days now, so.
feels like 200?
So right now, it houses human resources for only a little bit longer, our housing advocate, only for a little bit longer, and youth and family services.
For a little bit longer?
That one, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's not conducive to town office space, particularly for human resources, for sure. But, I don't know what the plan was when they initially, took it over, or for how long. Obviously, it is a town building at this point. But I'm moving some people out of there to more appropriate, suitable, professional office space, as they should be. I haven't had the discussion with the select board yet about it. I mean, they're aware that I'm, moving offices to more appropriate places. But I think that's a discussion that needs to be had, frankly.
And at some point, would there be a discussion just generally with the select board about what to do with that building? I mean,
Yeah, well, there would be. I mean, that goes along with that whole, what is the plan need? Is there a need? Is there not a need? How do we, preserve it? I don't know where it sits on the, sort of the historical spectrum. I don't know too much about that part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it has somebody's name attached to it.
well,
So I don't know.
tell you that.
My guess is.
I don't want to go into it
No,
too far.
my guess is
but-
it's probably not going to be during my tenure, but
Yeah.
they're aware of it. I think at some point that conversation definitely needs to be
Okay,
had.
all right.
And I would
Are
agree.
you,
done?
are you good? Yeah.
Are we done?
No, I just asked one question. about the Alborough House.
Alvaro House is over.
Michelle, you have a question?
I do have a question. So that's the building next to Town Hall, if you're looking at Town Hall, correct?
Correct.
So I noticed that when I was walking around town one day, the exterior of the building, that it really needed some painting and that type of work. Where would that fall? Because when you talk about beautification of the town, your town hall is your center of your government, and that property's right there. And I just thought for presentation purposes, it seemed to me to need some work. So where would the outside or exterior work fall?
Well, I think the answer to your question goes to what we were just discussing. I think that building overall is going to need some significant investment, and we need to figure out whether that investment will be on the town or whether the town decides to do, something else with it, to include perhaps sell it. I don't want to speak out of turn because we haven't had that discussion yet, but I think the first thing that needs to happen is are we going to keep it as a long-term, property of the town, and then figure out, okay, what do we need to do to it to make sure it stays, sound, from an envelope perspective, from a, exterior perspective.
In my tenure, the Alborough House has never been on the plan. I just wanted to hear that, but we can go into that a little more detail.
Yeah, he can tell you what the
Maybe you start with fiscal year
27,
2027.
go project by project.
Yeah, and the only thing I did note was on your summary here, you have the building in FY '27, and on Tony's summary, it's in FY '28.
Correct.
Okay.
We're here to talk about that.
Okay, all right. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like that conversation.
It'll be a little surprising, but, so let's start off with something easy.
Yeah,
The community center generator, it's 25 years old now, 24, almost 25. It is currently down. We've been doing repairs to it. We spent over $9,000 in parts this year alone. So it's due for a replacement. It is a warming shelter in the winter, and people go there for the summer for the cool as well.
and it's been on the plan for
And it's
a
been on
number
the
of
plan.
years, right?
Correct.
And when did it go down, just out of curiosity?
It went down in July.
Okay. And you wouldn't be able to replace it, though, till the next July?
Correct. Now, we're waiting on a part. We've already spent money on, we replaced the radiator, we replaced a lot of the hoses, we flushed it, but right now we're waiting on like a thermostat for it, that the parts are hard to come by because it's 25 years old.
Okay. But if you get the part, you could crank it along until July, you hope?
Hopefully, we ran it for 8 hours afterwards, and the first time, or after 3 weeks, it shut down again, so we're
Oh.
thinking it's a sensor.
Okay, okay. Would you have another generator you could move over there if you had to?
No,
Okay.
You could
no,
rent
that's a
one.
200 kW generator, they just don't float around.
Can't rent one?
Tony, could you find $168,000 in the budget if they had to buy one?
It is in the budget.
No, I mean before July.
Oh, no.
No, okay,
And I believe we can repair it. The mechanic that was just sitting here, he and I are working together on it. So
okay. We don't want them to get into that situation. We'd prefer to keep them going. Okay.
Any questions? Move on to the roof.
Just, these were the two items that you had in the budget last year.
It's been in the budget for 5 years. Almost all my items are 5 years out, and they creep up a year each year.
They just weren't itemized, they was total last.
That was the way that the previous administrator liked it.
Okay.
I have broken everything out.
Okay.
I have broken everything out.
Perfect.
That's why you saw all those vehicles over there.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great idea and gives transparency that's been missing.
Yes.
Yeah, as I see it, you have 2 new items on the plan that weren't there last year, just overall. So we'll talk about them when they come up.
The next project is the roof, same thing, it's 25 years old. We just repaired a leak, it's due, the shingles are old.
Michelle, wait a minute. Michelle, I'll let Michelle go first, and then Scott.
Yeah, so I'm just curious on the price of that roof. I work at a small school here, and we just replaced our roof last year, and it was in excess of 500. So has this been based on an architect, proposal, or that seems a little low?
That was my estimate, that's what I came up with, and in my estimate, we did the roof at the same price.
for square footage.
Scott, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wondered if the opportunity for solar panels has been considered for the community center roof, as long as you're replacing it?
No.
And is that because there's
Is that
there's
because
no
you think
funds
it's
for it, or-
implausible, or?
Just wasn't discussed, because actually the roof is not the best location for solar panels. There was a time, roughly 5 years ago, there was a CVEC-approved project for a solar parking lot, and eventually that project just faded away. I don't think there was public interest. There definitely was not the select board interest.
It's always can be a
I
slippery...
just wonder
Go ahead, Scott.
whether it would be too costly to do just an economic analysis of the return on investment that would have, especially with the efficiencies that you'd get combining it with the replacement.
Yeah, if I can, just for a second, is that a rubber membrane roof? What is the community center?
No, it's asphalt shingle.
Yeah. So I think one of the things with that is anytime you're putting penetrations on a new roof, it can be really risky, especially something that large. I would advocate, because your point is exactly correct, is looking at that, is looking at the ground-mounted type projects, whether it's solar canopies for the parking lot. Now, some people don't like the look of that, but there may be other opportunities to do a ground-mounted system and as a separate project. I get very leery because I've had these disasters where we put them on a school roof, next thing you know, it's leaking, and you're trying to figure out whose fault it is, and warranties can get voided by the manufacturer of the shingles, ended up in legal disputes. So I'm an advocate for those solar things, but I've, over time, because of what I've seen happen, particularly, I hate to say it, in governmental contracting, with going with the lowest bidders and all of that, which we're required to do, I think we could potentially, cause ourselves more issues. So I think as it relates to solar, is looking at other ways that you can bring solar initiatives and efficiencies to some of our areas that may have the ability to do that. You see schools doing them all the time in their parking lots, and they're great.
See golf courses doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Scott, I would say we look at, potentially something like that through the Energy Committee or whatever, but...
Again, this was designed
Right.
before for exactly what you're talking about, a parking lot.
Right.
And it was turned down. At the same time, we did the golf courses.
So I
Yeah,
think
I
we
mean,
try
the
to get
problem is
state
going to be
money
money.
for
Where are we going to find the money?
Well,
Because
that was
the
free.
state isn't really giving money towards these
So
things
these
anymore,
made,
right?
if I may, ma'am, these sorts of projects made sense when there was subsidies available and made it economically viable, where your break-even was 5-7 years out. Without those subsidies, these break-evens are 20 years out, which can exceed the life expectancy of the panels and inverters and the other equipment necessary.
Next.
Okay, if that's the case, then that's the answer to the question. Thank you.
You got it.
Michelle, have a question?
No, I think we're good.
Mechanical workshop.
I just had a comment. I just thought that, because I think we went to tour Harwich Elementary School, and they have solar on their roof, so it would be interesting to get some feedback from them about what their experience has been to date.
The Harwich Elementary School?
Yeah.
Yes, we toured them not too long ago, and that's one of the things they showed us, was their solar panels on their roof.
Yeah, they have a flat membrane roof, which is not needed to be penetrated for the frames, unlike this asphalt shingle that we have.
Yeah, so that might be the distinction, yep.
Next.
Move on to the DPW building?
Yeah.
That's the one.
So, before the meeting, and unfortunately I didn't get to hand it out or scan it out, I handed out a revised, updated estimate from the consultant.
I'll send this to Michelle and Scott when I get out of here.
for the building that you toured back in September. So this has been updated. As you can see, there's a dramatic price increase.
Not surprised.
So where on Tony's spreadsheet, I believe that you had funds down, and we were thinking if we had maybe have some drawings, conceptual drawings done to develop an estimate. But this consultant did this for free, updated his old estimate for free, so we were talking before this meeting, and we think we should, if we're moving forward with this project, you can see where they have 924,000. We were thinking move to $1 million this fiscal year for architectural engineering. and
Wait a minute,
design.
wait a minute, wait a minute. You have 100,000 for mechanical workshop
On
this
this
year.
sheet.
On this sheet, sorry, I'm not following.
So originally for FY '27, we put in $100,000 to do some, to develop.
Engineering.
Well, not full engineering, just to develop, I'll say,
Conceptual plan.
a rough order of magnitude cost, so that when we went into town meeting, you know, we had something to hang our hat on. I think as they went back to Weston and Sampson to get a more, you know, try to see what they thought of a more detailed thing. You can see how the cost jumped from 9.7 million to 12 million. And so with numbers like that, we talked about it's probably prudent to spend additional money in FY '27 to get a no-kidding, professionally engineered plan and cost estimate. When you're looking at asking town meeting for that kind of money, I think we need to have a much better, because if we don't, we potentially could go in and ask for 9.7 million and it comes back at 12, and now you don't have enough money, and now you gotta go back, it gets delayed. Typically, what I've seen in bigger projects, fire stations, things like that, you're spending money up front to bring on an OPM, get good, solid engineered plans and drawings of what it's actually gonna be. And so when you go to town meeting with the construction costs, it's a much more, it has much more fidelity to it, much more accuracy in terms of what you need to ask for in order to actually construct the project, so.
So is the $100,000 number
would be
still
$1
good?
million.
It would go to $1 million, okay.
It's typically around somewhere in the neighborhood of, is it 10%?
10% of the
10% of
construction
the
cost.
expected construction cost
So-
would be engineering.
When you update this, where are you coming up with that extra 900,000?
Well, so that's going to go into the funding plan, right? So, you know, we're continuing to massage that. For something that big, it could very well end up in the borrowing column.
Okay.
Right now, I'll say from what we've generally done in the past, we're fairly low on that side right now. I think it's about $1 million.
It doesn't make us want to meet the prior numbers, though. and-
No, but I'm
You know
just
how I
saying
feel
in
about
general
it.
for what we, you know, what we would typically
Yeah.
use for borrowing. So again, we don't have our free cash number yet, but I would say something that large is not coming out of free.
And then in addition to that, the next year, the 12 million number would be slotted in there, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could still get the because as you mentioned, with fleet-wide maintenance and that kind of thing, they have no space to work in.
Right. We
and-
did the tour of the building.
Yeah, so you guys have been
Yeah.
there, so we want to keep that in '28.
Right.
But we feel it's best when we go to town meeting in '28 for construction, that we're able to give a full presentation to the town meeting members that are there about the project, the need, and no kidding, this is an actual good, hard and fast, you know, estimate of.
So this number still could change.
Well,
The 12 million.
This is sure it
anything
will
can
in this
change.
environment.
Yeah.
We're hoping it comes down.
And is there any contingency? Did they build a
Yes.
contingency?
Yeah, and they actually even put 9% tariffs on the very bottom line
They put tariffs and a contingency.
for steel.
That's the
steel
part that could,
building.
yeah, and that's the part that could change as we see how things flush out over the course of the next 2 years, so.
If I may, I was shocked when Sean brought this into my office, so I checked with 2 other engineering firms to check this spreadsheet out, and both of them came back and said, this is more or less, we agree, which I was shocked.
I've got a couple of questions for you, Mayor.
Yes, please.
How old is the facility now? Take a guess.
I think it was constructed in '87, they moved in
Talking
88.
40 years,
Yes, sir.
close to 40. You're one of the few departments that is a revenue-generating department for this town, correct?
Between 3 and 4 million a year from disposal area.
All those are pluses when you start looking at replacement as far as I'm concerned. Okay, it's not like a sunk cost, that we're not getting back something. And the fact is that your revenue has been growing every year, if I'm not mistaken. The amount of work, and whether it's inflation or whatever, you're generating money to this town on top of the tax basis and so forth. I think those are all key, quote-unquote, selling points for putting a new building in, where it's not only, you mentioned it, your department is facilitating and helping other departments in that building.
Yeah, the
So-
two gentlemen that were here provide services primarily to all these other departments.
It's a modified,
Yes.
to me, it's sort of a modified government building like this one is. That this, we have people here who are not revenue producing, but yet as a whole, this town needs a building like this to work. I think, again, as a selling point, that we need to tell the story. That's just my,
Thank you.
You good?
oh, I've got a little pain. No, I'm just-
Scott?
Thank you. I made this point when we heard the presentation from the Water Department. I'll just say it again. Is there any possibility of combining the Chatham Road storage facility need for replacement with this facility? It would obviously be a larger building, but that's on the plan for $5 million, a little further down the line, 2 or 3 years from now. I know that that would require the Water Department to travel to pick up a vehicle, but perhaps the economies of scale for one building instead of 2 new buildings might make that worthwhile. And could that be analyzed? Would it be overly expensive to analyze that possibility in conjunction with water?
Are you going to speak to that? So I heard Rich earlier, this is not a replacement building, this is an addition to. We would maintain our current building for storage. It'll be for all our
Okay.
vehicles.
In a workshop, I thought
This
you
is
said,
a,
right?
yes, a
Like, yeah.
working area workshop along with storage. I don't see as though there's any economies of scale with the Water Department project, honestly. And that building is going to be 60, 70 years old.
Yeah, I think
can only
they have some
imagine.
requirements to put their vehicles in a building, and it may have to do with how close they are
To the
to
well
water
fields,
wells and
yes.
things like that. So, you know, they came to us a couple years ago and said, oh, the building was 1.5 million, and I said, have you talked to the DPW? Because they're not building, and I know yours is much more complicated, I didn't underestimate that. And then they came back, and now they're somewhere $4.5, $5 million for what they thought would be $1.5 million, and we're nowhere near getting it done. So they may have the same experience you're having.
We thought this was a $3 or $4 million problem.
Right, right. So I think, Scott,
But
you're not
isn't that
getting
another
any...
point in favor of considering that to get those vehicles away from the water wells? You wouldn't have to put in the special protection that the building requires being so close to the wells.
Well, and I don't know, you'd have to, one, I know the water department wasn't in favor, right? Because it's not convenient and it doesn't make sense to have people on the road to go get their vehicle or however that works. You all would have to think about, what does that do to traffic in and around? That's a tight area back there, as I see it.
Well, there are opportunities. The town owns a total of 168 acres out there. Initially, when they were thinking had to build a septic treatment plant, they did some investigatory wells back there. So there's a lot of land that's one giant, well, it's a giant parcel of the town that they own. So yes, there's opportunity. In this instance, I just don't see how logistically it would work out favorably for the water department.
Unless the building was over there.
Unless they transferred the whole operation there. Is there opportunity to do that? But rest assured, there wouldn't be a $5 million building they're requesting.
So I think the answer is nobody's feeling it, Scott, but you can continue your crusade.
Yeah, I think, I think the other part of it, when we look at that, because I would defer to Jason, I mean, obviously, they have the space, they could do it, but their stuff's right there. But I think we also have to look at it from, yes, people will have to travel. I mean, there's only 8 hours in a day. We're losing potentially, then you have to calculate that. What is the work loss of traveling back and forth between the two sites to get there? Half hour up, half hour back, traffic in the summer. The next thing you know, the operational impact to the water department in terms of trying to get work done during the workday could drive a whole other series of less calculable costs associated with that. Now, maybe down the road, as was mentioned, you could potentially move the whole operation, but I would also say for the water folks, I mean, their project's in 2030, so this conversation can continue. I don't know if it's really gonna be something that's gonna be impacted or decided, by FY '28.
Yeah, potentially one of the unintended consequences is if you're like me and you're like, I'm just going to leave the truck at the water department overnight, right? So it doesn't get utilized. Yeah, okay.
So, Madam Chair, one question here.
Yep.
So just to get this straight, the idea is to change the 100 to 1 million for 27
Correct,
and put 12 to or whatever in 28.
correct.
11 to.
11 to.
Oh, 11
Oh.
too, okay. Okay,
And I had one kind of peripheral question, but much of the payments here, in other words, the funding for these projects, it currently is in this free cash column. And is there any issue about departments getting some sort of balance of that free cash, or is it traditionally certain departments get the bulk of the free cash?
Talking for capital items?
Yes.
No, we do, we look at it
Just
as
matters
overall.
what's coming up.
I look at it in general, in terms of, the typical amount of free cash we have to spend, bigger items that have longer lives, fire engines, last for 20 years, right? Ambulances, we generally borrow for those. Big construction projects, we typically borrow for those. So as I review this pan, I'm massaging the whole thing in terms of, what makes the most sense, right? Now, some of these could end up in the CPC column. We
Okay.
talked about other sources of funding that Scott brought up. So, yeah, where any project's not done by department, it's just what makes the most, financial sense in terms of what we have available.
And the percent, and the amount of free cash that you now have sort of set aside for the projects for 2027, that's a pretty good figure from what you know at this point, or is it still too early?
The total at the bottom, the 3.2 million? Yeah, I think
That's a good figure.
Remember, we use free cash for other things, right? We use free cash to fund our, put money into our OPEB trust. We use free cash for a few other different things. Sometimes we put some in the stabilization fund. Sometimes we put it in, I think, the housing stabilization fund, right? So I have to balance all of those things. So when folks, we get the free cash number, if it comes in at 4.5 million, that doesn't mean I have another, million plus to put in here. We have to think about those other things over the course of time. What we're going to see, I think, with our free cash number is really more normalized. There was a couple of years where it was well on the high side, but that's not normal. I think what we're going to see, although the number goes down, and people go, oh my, the number went down, it's actually going to be a more normal number that we'll be seeing, through the future. So it's not due to any other, circumstances, really. It's really a more normal number when you look at our budget and what you expect to sort of have for free cash. So, yeah, we look at everybody equally.
Yeah, I was surprised at the amount of projects we've actually just assigned to free cash. It's that it covers so much of
Yeah, most towns
capital.
do that, and they'll call it pay-as-you-go capital, right? Because you pay, and then you're done. Buy a car, you're done, but, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'd say most towns, they call it their pay-as-you-go capital, and then for bigger projects, we look at borrowing and other.
You're also, and I know Peter Hughes said this in the Finance Committee the other night, well, we should just do everything on debt, but you're also trying to balance the debt. Like, you don't want the rating agencies to say, hey, you got too much debt, and you're not gonna keep your AAA rating. So, you're balancing the operating budget, you're balancing the capital budget, you're balancing.
There's limits too by law.
Right,
on how much,
right.
excluded.
And
debt you
I
can-
keep saying, maybe, out further, when you look at all those sewer projects, we may be bumping up against those if we're not careful, right? So,
I think overall, what we're looking at doing, and again, this is more of a culture thing as it relates to departments and their capital requests. As you know, we have a big backlog.
Right.
The thing I ask is, I guess it wasn't that important to ask for it in '23, because it's 3 years later and we haven't done anything with it. So I think it's taken a much more closer look. We know the need is there, but how do we more appropriately say, is the need really next year? Or is it 2 years from now or 3 years from now, and try to spread things out? Because you look at the number for '28, you see 17 million, it's gonna go up even more. That's a lot in 1 year, and then you look at the next year and it's half that. And so we have to work at trying to spread these things out without, getting in a point where we fall off a cliff on a project because we waited too long. So that's just an internal culture thing, as we have discussions and the department heads get a little more familiar with doing that analysis.
it's
To figure out where
dollars.
should it really fall?
It's dollars, but it's also people resources. You don't have unlimited people resources
Right.
either to get all this stuff done.
That's
So
true.
it's a balancing act.
I agree.
Okay, we're good with the facility, I think. Right? Yep, let's move next. I think we go into the next year.
At 28, we've got the redesign of the recycling area. We've discussed this in the past, but as a refresher, we would be installing 4 more compactors, smaller compactors for our cardboard and plastics for recycling area. That would require us bringing power down there and pouring some pads and redesigning the flow of traffic. This will help for safety as well as getting better compaction and more materials delivered.
So I think it moved forward 1 year. Was it in last year? It was in FY '29, I believe.
I don't think so.
And that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have
Okay.
last year's either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And it says, it says, well, let me see. Redesign the area. Does that include like whatever, like I'm going to call it construction? Like that's the project in total?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, that's what I meant by redesigning the traffic flow.
okay.
Where now you just go down the hill, they're going to have them come around the backside,
Does it
make
in-
like a loop, so.
Does it involve like changing out or replacing equipment maybe as well? Is that
The
part of that?
compactors will be brand new.
Okay, got it. All right, any questions on that?
Just the compactor's the only thing that's kind of being improved there, or is the rest of the facility changing at all, or?
The design is traffic flow, barricades, so the whole area is going to be changing.
The whole thing will get a facelift, but the major money is tied up in the compactors and bringing 3-phase power down to that facility.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Next.
Library air handling units, there are 2 of them. The library has complained that the humidity gets up high and the chiller just doesn't pull the humidity out, so I've talked with Rise Engineering, and we're getting closer to the time period, as we're looking at only a year and a half away, so we'll revisit that for a better estimate. That was an estimate from last year.
So, well, last year it was at 814.
No, that was, again, that was when we combined things.
Oh,
a
that
couple of
was the
projects.
update of the building
Building itself, correct.
that Ginny's going to come and talk to us about later. Okay, okay, got it.
And then public safety, fire department, all their windows are wood sashes, and they're all starting to rot and just fall apart. Roughly $2,000 per window plus labor to replace.
A new building?
Old, Fire Station 1.
It's not that old.
It's 20.
21.
And you weren't here last week, they were outgrowing
24
it,
years
so
old.
I think so.
get ready.
Question, does the elevator still work?
Yes.
Paul?
That's the key.
On dehumidification, is there any plan, discussion or whatever about the Brooks Academy for controlling the humidity and so forth, the storage of records and so forth in the basement of the Brooks Academy?
No,
Is there likely to be?
no. What we have down there is heat pumps with dehumidification properties, but it's not a dehumidifier.
Do you feel that that's justified, or? not justified.
It's not in the plans.
You could run,
not
you
my
could run that
question,
heat pump and it would dehumidify though.
Correct. When
So
you're
you'd pay
cooling,
more
you're pulling
electricity,
moisture out
but
of the air.
that's what I do.
It would seem to be an important facet, if that's where we're going to store a lot of the historical information for the town, that just the same way the library and just the same way that our town office records are being put in an important protected environment, there's some very important...
Again, we have 3 air conditioning heads in the basement, which have dehumidification properties. It is not a dehumidifier per se, but it has
Okay.
properties of a dehumidification.
So you could run it and take out moisture in the air in the basement. That's all you need to do.
But
I mean,
there's a-
there would be an electric cost to it, but that's,
It's installed now. It's
Right, you
running.
could run
It's
it.
running today.
Sufficient to qualify, in essence, for protecting records like that?
It's running today. The humidity down there is probably 45%.
Okay, good.
next. No other questions, right? Yep.
Okay, moving on to FY '29, Albro House, you were discussing that briefly. That is an engineering study for everything. That would be the building envelope, the foundations for structural, as well as the paint. So as far as the painting goes, we know there's lead paint there. It was painted roughly 6 or 7 years ago by volunteers. Back then, it was advised not to do what they did because it is lead paint. And
So they covered the lead paint as well.
they actually even chipped the lead against better judgment.
Rule and law as well.
Yes.
You can't
And
do
that paint job is not an easy paint job. It's because it's so many colors and so much
Correct.
detail.
So in order to be done right, it needs to be either encapsulated or abated.
Oh, man.
So there will be a cost to that, the same as what we're looking at Brooks Academy.
So my
Ouch.
feeling is, I think before, that's obviously a couple years from now, I won't be here. Won't be here.
You'll still be paying for it.
I will be, but I think just to
Well, I'll
keep
still be
track, I
paying
think
for
this, whoever the new admin is, to have with the select board and others, to
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
true conversation about the future of the Albro House and what is the town's, desire with it, because there's gonna be some huge costs.
So we don't envision that any construction or that project would kick off before 2031 right now?
Correct.
Okay. Questions on that one?
You have 50 volunteers and 50 cans of paint. You get that?
I don't want to breathe in lead.
Talk to the volunteers.
Yeah, I think the fact
Some
that
days
it
I'm
has.
already not all
Yeah,
there.
I mean, just the fact that we know it has lead.
Yeah.
I would never even allow a volunteer
Yeah.
to touch it, because it's, again, there's laws around that we may not have complied with.
Moving on, Town Hall, this building here, the rubber roof, it is worn, the insulation has been just beaten down, and it gets leaks regularly. We have a maintenance contract that came in and does as best as it can, but it's getting time. It needs to be replaced.
And so the difference between like the community center and this building is this is a flat roof with a membrane, and that's a cheaper project, if you will? I mean,
Correct.
there might be square footage too.
It's also smaller square footage. You do have a layer of insulation. This is only for the flat portion. We also have tile on this building here, but that's not part of this project. It's just the
Say
rubber.
that tile, like what kind of tile? Sorry.
The,
Like asphalt tile? No, asphalt
Ceramic.
shingles? Oh, you have slate? Oh, please don't bring up slate.
So,
Let's
we're
talk about
doing
slate.
maintenance. This roof is not that old, so we can do maintenance to this slate that's here, and that's what we're doing. But the rubber part of it is due for replacement.
Okay.
What percentage of this is slate,
This-
of this roof?
I would say 2/3.
2/3 is slate? Okay.
Yeah, so the rubber is only on the flat portions
Okay.
of the other,
Oh, so then it does seem more in line with the community center when you say that I thought it was the whole building. It's a smaller part, yeah, okay. Any questions on that one?
Next, we have the town hall replacement of the rooftop units. It's highlighted in green on the sheet I gave you back in September. on mine, and I just want to point out that it is a potential Green Communities project.
Oh, is that what that means? Okay.
Yes.
Which means funding.
Which we'll have to apply for after.
Yeah, after you do it.
Okay.
Correct.
You don't have it in green.
Yep, I know, I have it, yep.
Okay.
But for example, the community center units that we just replaced, the estimate was $290. The town ended up paying about $20,000.
Well, that's,
But we have to commit the money in the beginning.
yeah,
That's
and
correct. That's
then
like a
get it back.
reimbursement.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, got
They
it.
score high, so
Yep, okay.
some of the funding.
Questions on any of those? Okay,
And we have 3 units in FY 2030 at the police department. The same thing. If we get the Green Communities project done in '29, we're eligible to apply the following year
for, sorry, a what?
for 3 air conditioning units at the police station.
Oh, okay,
By the time it reaches 2030, that building will have been over 20 years old and is well past the life expectancies, and those still are 22 units. We can't even get parts for it anymore. Next in FY '30, we have the electric upgrade for White House Field. Currently,
can you tell me what that is? I don't think I know.
White House Field?
Yeah.
Baseball.
Oh, that's a baseball field,
Yes.
of course, yeah, okay.
Where the Mariners play.
I'm good with the
Shield-
sports.
Shielded
Sorry,
area.
I grew up with a jock, not into the sports.
Sheldon White House.
Okay.
That's his
Okay,
place.
thank you.
So there, the transformer is old, and the power distribution facility that it's in, it's currently actually has fuses still, large fuses.
Oh,
Yeah.
So that needs to be replaced with the actual power panel.
That's in 29.
So the 2 projects in FY 2030,
Yes.
the air conditioning units and this one, are you confident that these units will last that long?
Yes,
You're okay with it? Okay.
bubble gum.
Okay. You're a fixer. Questions? Any questions?
No.
Nope.
And last, in 2031, with all the grand meetings that we had at the 204 this summer, it became evident that if we're going to continue to do so, we need to add air conditioning. So that would be a new rooftop unit for cooling the auditorium only.
Just the auditorium. And so how does that relate to, I know you're moving some people in that are employees, would they have air-conditioned spaces? And I thought that was kind of a problem to expect that, you know, an employee would work all day in an unair-conditioned place.
Terrible.
It's awful. It's cruel and unusual, Tony.
I don't know, maybe we look at mini splits or something at some point.
What we've been doing, when, like for Kara's office, we have a standalone unit for her office,
Okay.
Those are one of the inside, right?
inside.
Yeah, so the new sort of systems that you can duct through a window or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll take care of them,
Okay.
I promise.
Yeah.
I won't be here.
Yeah. It's different if you're, you know,
I know.
you're renting or you're
Yes.
leasing or whatever, and you know that, but as an employee.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
No, we'll take care of it.
Okay.
So technically, Sean, this should be a green box?
No,
No.
not for that, because it's a brand-new system. We're not upgrading or replacing, so therefore, we're not really saving anything.
We're adding load.
We're adding load.
So should the green be removed from the 400 in the
Oh,
final column?
That's a good
Oh, yeah,
catch.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
right.
Okay.
You are correct. I will fix my spreadsheet.
The other comment I just want to make, parenthetically, this is a comment. The Alvaro house next door, I hate to make it seem like volunteers were responsible for putting lead paint on a town building.
Nobody said that.
Let
Nobody
me
said that,
finish.
no.
Volunteers are important, and I envision, I would like to think I am correct in envisioning at some point in the future, more people will come forward and as volunteers for maintaining property or committing personal funds to help support or maintain town properties. And this is a good example of one such situation, I think, that conceivably maybe there could be an effort made to get personal financial support. But I know, I just didn't sort of like the sense that we were somehow attributing the additional cost for repairing the structure here next door to having used volunteer help to paint the building, and somehow the building, those people, the volunteers, were the ones who went out and bought and didn't realize they can't put lead paint on buildings.
Well, if that's what you heard, I would just say that that wasn't what was meant, and nobody, yeah, nobody.
My intention was that at the time, whoever managed the project didn't take a step to go professional.
Yes, right. So here, yeah, so it wasn't lead paint, but there was lead paint on the building.
That they covered.
And we love
It's
volunteers,
covered over it.
but you can't do that.
No, no,
right?
I
So we've all
understand.
heard of OSHA.
Right.
But it
And
sounded
safety.
like in
No.
my interpretation
Chip
of
the
what I-
lead paint, right? So that's why it has to be, by law,
Professional.
you have to be, it has
It's
to be
like
professionally.
asbestos.
They
You
didn't
can't
take
handle
that
it yourself.
Asbestos is
They
an
didn't
old-
take
that.
that step 6 years ago.
Right.
That's all.
We see that in a lot of old school projects where you go in and you have tile, all that has.
We all love the
No, I know,
volunteers
and
and
I
appreciate all the
encounter
work
it on
they
the
do.
historical
And need
district.
more of them.
Yeah. So, you know, it wasn't hit against the volunteers, it was the fact that we
Yeah,
didn't.
okay, well, I just
would-
wanted to make the
OSHA.
records.
I have just two questions, and then we can
Adjust it.
wrap this
Yeah,
up.
good point.
Is the roof going forward on the 204? Is it getting done?
Oh, you said don't talk about slate.
No, but I know, but
It was approved by town meeting. My feeling is it's going forward
Thank you.
as town meeting had voted.
thank you.
I always, again, this is just me, but if town meeting, a project's brought to town meeting and voted on and approved, we can't then turn around and say, no, gee, we don't want to do it.
Right, I agree, so let's just, that's
Town
what I
meeting
want to
floor is
hear.
the time to change the,
I agree.
just like we did with the engineering project
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the harbor.
I agree. I would just ask one other question. Are there any buildings listed, not listed here, that the town owns?
Oh, yeah, lots of them.
There are?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tons of them.
They just don't have projects in the next 5 years.
We got
Not
the
capital
list
projects.
last year.
Don't stir up.
You talk about in the plan?
Yeah.
No, the only thing that's in the plan are what
Okay.
buildings that have
Okay.
projects.
Yeah,
We have a
yeah,
master
I get it, I get it.
facilities list.
The one I guess I was thinking about that relates to me similar to the Albro House does in terms of what we use it for or what our future plans are, is the junior theater, right? The town owns that building, right?
Trust does now.
Who does?
The trust
Oh,
was transferred to the trust.
and which trust, so which
It's
trust?
Affordable Housing Trust.
Oh, it was.
2022.
So they're responsible for that building.
We're reviewing, as the select board has asked, we're reviewing all license, lease agreements, and whatever, to make sure that whatever those documents said about who's responsible for what, we have a good handle on that, and we kind of ran into that with the...
Okay, all right, I won't
with
get
the
into it
meeting-
then.
With the meeting house, so
This
it's
is
all
ju-
being looked at.
This is just why a good facilities independent look across the town would be helpful so that we understand what may be down the line, what's coming up, what's in need of repair.
Well, that goes into the whole developing a facilities capital master plan that,
Right.
again, you know, we don't have the organic capability to generate something that large.
Right.
But it's needed and would be helpful for the facilities director to utilize that in the process of capital planning.
No, I agree.
But where you look at every building, the envelope, the systems, soup to nuts, they're all graded, you know,
So you know,
poor, fair, good, excellent, whatever, and you can develop a 10-plus year capital plan. Even though we look at 5 here, we're thinking 10, 15, 20 years down the road, so, but that takes an investment
Yeah,
of money
yeah.
to do that, so.
Okay, I'm good, I get it.
Thank you.
No other questions online, right? You guys are good?
I make
Okay.
a motion.
We're not done, we have one more to do, we have IT.
Sarah, IT.
Sorry, Rich.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I gotta talk. Excuse.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh, I have a piece of paper somewhere that I wrote some things down. Where did I do it? sorry, I'm trying to find something I had written. Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. Okay, so we're going to start without Rich and Tony for this portion. Welcome. So as you review your capital plan, just let us know, like, what may have changed from last year, where you're headed,
Okay.
all that good stuff.
So initially, the two items for the capital that I have in the capital, one's the digital scanning of the records, digitization of the records. So we're still looking at that as a very multi-year project. We've started so far with that, and we're looking at probably at least having that to be keeping it at 100,000 per year over the next couple of fiscal years, as that's a very big project to get all the documents down in the basement.
And what do we think in terms of time that it will take us to do this? Like, how many years? Or do we have a good idea?
So now that they've, the company that was awarded the bid, or the invitation to bid, they've been doing it, they picked it up in August. They picked up about just under 200 boxes of archive boxes, the bank size, down from the basement. And they projected that to be finished about end of February, beginning of March. And they started scanning them the end of August. So about a 6-month time frame for about 200 boxes or so.
How many boxes do you think we have?
Way more than way more than 200, and that's just what's in the basement here at Town Hall. That's not even counting what's up in, like, building being the one with the most plans and records to be scanned in. And that's not even looking at, like, the old books and records of, like, old selectmen minutes and stuff, getting those digitized. We're looking at that a little bit further, because that takes special thought process, because they're bound books and stuff. So
And those bound books are here or elsewhere?
they're here in Town Hall, and that would be working. We would do those specifically as one of the special projects, like a couple years down the road. Right now, our main focus is more
The working document?
yeah, the working documents, the more current ones, like building, they were able to take, that was the bulk of the stuff that went, and I think they went back to the boxes were like 1960 something, right up to about 2000.
1960 to 2000?
Yeah.
40 years?
That was
Okay.
200 bucks?
Yeah, it's a massive.
Yeah, they took up the bulk of the boxes, yeah.
Okay.
It's a massive project.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was building by building? It's the house, it's the...
It's just boxes, whatever has been archived down in the basement for, the past several decades.
Okay.
But the current working documents that, like, people are filing and working
Yes.
with, those documents are upstairs in the building department. And then we're hoping to look at that as for the next round, getting those out and scanned. So that way, a lot of the stuff that
So
gets
the
requested.
timing for the total project is, what do you think, 10 years?
Probably, I'd say, yeah, between 5 and 10 years, just looking at it, so.
So if I'm, I did a little digging because I have some data. We started funding this in fiscal year '24. We put $150,000 in, and in fiscal year '25 we put another $100,000 in. And from what I could see, Megan shared with us sort of the update. This was through August, so I know it's not current, but we spent the first year about $54,000, and then August, which is a short period, it's a month or two, another $10,000. So there's about $186,000 sitting unspent, and we're going to put another $100,000. How did they bill you? Like, what? Well, this 200 boxes is going to take some chunk of this away. Like, what's the spend rate? Do you think if we?
So for the $150,000, that was from a grant that we had gotten from the state, and so that's what's currently being paid for right now. That has to be used up. We have to use it up by March.
So hold on a second, because we put the 150,000 on the capital plan,
It was.
but you're saying you got a grant.
Yeah.
So how
I
does
don't
that
know
work?
why it was put on the capital, the initial was put
Well,
on
it
the
has to go on the capital plan, because you don't know if
Yeah.
you're going to get the grant, right? That's fine.
Yeah, so
A
that
lot of
first
grants are
fiscal year.
reimbursable, so did they send us a check for 150, or do you?
Yeah, that's in,
So we would just
in
not,
August.
if it was done with free cash initially, then obviously it just gets unspent, so.
So of that 186, 150 would come back?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the open articles, so we're in the process of looking at all the
Okay.
open capital articles.
That would be good. That would be
Yeah,
fun.
so we're, like I said, I didn't mention when DPW was here, but they've already offered up $2.25 million of unspent, so I have some from police and whatever. Yeah, we're closing out all
Yeah.
old articles, don't need, whatever.
Yeah, it was more from, if you have 186, we put another 100 in, but if you really take that 186 and say 150 of that is coming back, then the 100 makes sense. Otherwise, I would ask, what is the spend rate? Do we need this 100 this year? But it looks like we do, so.
Well, actually looking at it, because, yeah, I'm trying to think, and I can like double check on that for the 100, because we have the 100 that was from this past fiscal year that's sitting there that hasn't been spent. So we're still right now spending from the 150,000 grant.
Yeah, so I think what Martha's question is basically at some point, we may actually be able to take a year off.
Yeah.
If in the fiscal year, you have a balance of money that says, oh yeah, the balance I have left can carry me through all of '27, then maybe you don't need 127, you'll need it in '28. And so as you get the bills come in, if you don't use all the 100, that's still available for the next round.
Yeah.
So eventually, if that accumulates, you may take a year off or whatever. So I think the question would be just to take a look at your spend rate of what you already have in the works, what the next round looks like, and whether you think you have enough to carry you through all of FY '27 without a need for another 100.
And thinking about that and actually looking at it from the time of when I had submitted the capital request, and then now going through the budget and stuff and looking at everything, I believe actually and now that we've been a couple months in getting the scans in, definitely think that we could probably push this off a year, skip FY '27, and look at it for FY '28. So then that way, that kind of gets us a little bit more.
Well, do you want to run the numbers and think about it?
Run the numbers and then get back.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't do it this year, then we do it next year. I'm not opposed to that. If you need to get a little bit more actuals in the spend rate before you're
It could be
comfortable.
every other year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a look at it.
My only concern is I would rather see it finish earlier than planned.
Well, the work is going
And
on.
continue to spend the
only do
money
so much.
now, because what happens if, let's say, they develop some kind of more efficient production facility, and they don't take 200 boxes next time, they take 500. And if you don't have the cash there to cover, let's say, 150,000 rather than 100,000, it would seem to be not a bad idea to have a cushion.
But I think they do have, they potentially could have an adequate cushion. I think they need to figure that out.
Well, she's already into the money for the 100 that was put in last year's fiscal budget, right? Not the 150 grant, but the 100,000. You've already started dipping into
I
that?
haven't even dipped into that. We're
She's
still
got
on
almost
the 150
250,000
grant.
potentially. So remember, the 150 may not come back, it may roll over. So technically, we have 150 in a grant, we have 150 in capital, and we have 100 from this year. So that's, 250, $300, $400,000. So my guess is we'll have Sarah take a look at it, but we can probably.
And if you feel comfortable that you're not ready to give up this 100 this year, that's no problem. We'll readdress it next year and just come with the numbers and we'll talk about it. That's
Just
up
what
to
I know
you.
at this point is probably not needed in '27, but we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
We could have
Awesome.
$400,000 right now that,
Yeah,
available.
we're all
That
on
could
board
carry
with the project and just,
very important.
yeah.
Because that database is searchable, so,
Yeah.
so it's just huge,
Yeah.
a huge leap.
All right, we're good with this one, everybody? Let's move on to the technology reinvestment.
Okay, so with the technology reinvestment in the narrative that I had submitted to Tony, I was saying that I wasn't 100% sure if we actually, because the original was like the 5-year plan, and it was thinking 250 per year. So we also got a 200, just under a 200,000 grant for expanding the fiber between the municipal buildings. And that is, I'm working with the company Contracts that was awarded that, and we'll hopefully be starting that project soon, with getting that going and spending that. So because of that, I'm getting the grant. And then I still have the 250,000 for this current fiscal year for tech reinvestment, which will go towards the grant, upgrading the network system in the buildings that are left is the library and the 204. So with the little bit left over from last fiscal year and then this current fiscal year, that should be covered with money that's currently awarded.
Okay, so what I had here was in fiscal year '24, we approved 250, in fiscal year '25, 210, so a total of 460, and that we spent 129,000 in fiscal '24. It looks like we spent the whole 210 in fiscal year '25, so we have about 121,000 left.
Yep.
And that will get you through till you get the next request in fiscal year '28.
Right, and I think it could actually be less because of the
grant.
fiber being grant. That definitely offset a whole lot of my original projections like 3 years ago.
So it looks like the grants, aren't going in here into the capital plan and then being offset by the grant. The grant is happening outside of the capital plan. Is that?
Well, again, I wasn't here for the
Yeah.
last one. Moving forward, if we have the potential for grants, that'll go in that other funding source. So we're going to see that when that other project I mentioned earlier that we'll talk about when to put that on here, but they're going for offsetting money, but we need to get it into the plan because originally people thought, well, we're going to try to get a grant for the whole thing, and it doesn't end up on the plan. And
Right.
if it's important enough, if we don't get the grant, or we only get a partial grant, and it's important enough, then we put additional money toward it to complete it. But if we
Right.
don't have visibility on it, then, we get surprised. So
Right.
This one's
I
a
would
little bit
agree
of a
with that.
surprise.
I would agree with that.
Question, Chair.
Yes.
Where's the grant from?
It's from the state. There's the two different ones. So the one for the fiber was from the state, the municipal, I think it's the
The community
municipal.
compact cabinet?
The community compact grant was used for the digital scanning, and the municipal fiber grant from the state is used for the fiber expansion.
And you applied for those, or?
I applied for them both, yeah.
Okay,
Use other
excellent.
people's money, remember what I said
That's
earlier?
right.
Yeah. So good for
Thanks.
Sarah, yeah.
So, and are there other sources that, are those the two primary?
Those are the two primary. There's some other couple of ones for different things that at that point in time, I wasn't looking at them for projects to take advantage of those ones.
Excellent.
So the only other question I would ask is, we knew when Sarah came to us, she was a person of one in a department of one, and she has a lot on her plate in terms of these projects. How are you doing? Are you finding it that you can get these done, or are you becoming resource constrained?
Resource constraint, yeah. It's, I get as much as I can done in a day, and if it's not on fire, I'm like, okay, it's tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, so we have a number of departments like that, so I'm in the process of doing all the budget departmental reviews. So when Sarah and I talked, I have them preparing packages, if you will, for what should the department look like, because certainly with IT, it is a backbone of almost everything we do. A lot of people don't necessarily understand it, certainly like she does, and perhaps like I do with some of the background that I have in intelligence and some of that kind of stuff. That we need additional support there to make sure not only that we continue to stay up on the latest technology, but also the security, the cybersecurity, and everything that goes along.
Yeah, I think
Training.
what we learned is the town was woefully below
It gets
the minimum,
ignored.
the bare minimum.
It gets
And
ignored
you've
all
done
the
a great job of getting us closer, and hopefully we're moving above that as we sort of invest this money and
Yeah,
and
they
see some
need to-
results.
And Sarah's position as the director needs, I'll say, white space to be able to work on the bigger picture stuff around cybersecurity, infrastructure, and that kind of thing, and somebody else to work on, I'll call it,
The implementation.
IT specialists in terms of help desk and some of the other sort of day-to-day tasks, so that we make sure we stay focused on the overall, network that we rely on.
Yeah, because you just want to make everybody's life a little, technology, usually, if it's done right, will make somebody's life easier and make everybody else's job a little easier, and then they can do more, so, absolutely. Any other questions on IT? That was easy, we're good.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, thank you,
All right,
guys.
we'll talk on the 100.
Okay.
Or you can look at it and get back to me and
Yes.
let me know what you think.
All right, so we're next meeting on, I think it's the second,
The second, which is a Tuesday.
which is a Tuesday, at 11 here in this room, and we will review the schools, both the Harwich Elementary and the Regional District, which the Regional District, so everybody knows, is not on Tony's plan, as not to confuse taxpayers at the warrant, in the warrant and at town meeting, but we are going to review the district's capital at the request of the Select Board. And then Ginny is going to come for the library and talk about the project that she's had for a long time, and it's probably evolved and changed in terms of how she's going to use the library and what she needs to make it more effective. So with that, any other items, questions, things that we need to be talking about? I'll take a motion to...
Yes, one more.
Oh, sorry.
So just in terms of later in December, right, so we talked about December 10th would be the date we'd finalize everything, perhaps take a vote. And then sometime after that, we
You'd said the
need
12th.
to talk to the Select Board and, yeah, so it would be a stretch to try to do it the Monday after we meet on the 10th. So I'm looking at the 22nd of December. Or the 29th. Again, because, it's a matter of time to finalize a plan and make sure we come in with a well-developed presentation and however that's going to look.
Would anybody have a problem with the 22nd? I know it's close to Christmas. So the 22nd,
Okay, we'll shoot for that date.
it's a meeting with the joint meeting with the Finance and the Select Board. So it's at 6:30 in
Yeah, they
town.
let the Finance Committee know.
I will put together over this break that we're having, that change schedule that I did, and we can talk about it, whether it's something you feel comfortable.
Yeah, let's talk
But-
about how we want to present
Yeah,
that night
yeah.
For everybody.
Right.
12/2.
Are we good
It
with
says
somebody?
12/2.
You guys good?
Next meeting's the second.
Next meeting's the 2nd, it's a Tuesday at 11. And then the following meeting will be the
said December
20th.
10th.
Oh, the 10th,
That's what you said.
Wednesday.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a meeting on the 10th. That's the kind of the final wrap-up.
That's
and
the 11 o'clock.
Check all our numbers and whatever.
And then the 22nd at 6:30.
22nd is 6:30.
So the 10th
The
is at
joint
11, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, if we have less executive sessions, it could go back to 6,
Oh
but
my
right now, they're
God.
doing them at
The
6:30.
meetings have been long. Okay, if we're good, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Rich? All in favor? Michelle? Scott?
Aye.
Aye.
Ann? Rich?
Aye.
Aye.
Paul? Martha, aye. Unanimous. We're done.
Thank you.